Welcome once again. So now we'll see the last part of our basics of IPR. So far we have seen about patents, copyright, trademarks, design, geographical indications, semiconductor circuits and plant variety. The last form of IPR is about trade secrets. So let's see. So what is the meaning of trade secret? So unlike other forms of intellectual property, trade secrets, as name itself indicates, it has to be kept secrets. So they are essentially internal instruments, the responsibility for their protection remaining with the owner of the secrets. They are not disclosed to any person including the government, and we have to keep it totally confidential. Currently, trade secrets are covered by the Contract Act 1872. Department of Science and Technology has drafted a new Innovation Act 2008, under which they have included the trade secrets provisions also, but still this particular act is yet to be passed from the assembly. Life of the trade secret is unlimited. Till the date you can keep it secret. Once the information is disclosed in the public domain, the trade secrets become obsolete. There are certain tools to keep the information under the head of trade secrets. This includes non-disclosure agreement, confidential agreement, memorandum of understanding, contract manufacturing services, technology transfer agreements. All these are the different legal modalities available to keep the information secret. But very frankly, any of these means are not so much powerful to keep the information secret forever. Say for example, when one employee changes his job from one company to another company, obviously after let's say a period of 5 years, he may switch over to his competitor company only to get a higher perks and higher job profile. So within the company for 5 years, it is easy to restrict that particular employee by the head of non-disclosure agreement. But when such employee has changed his job, when he go to the competitor's company, there is no legal rights of the previous owner to protect him, to disclose or not to disclose any information. So that's why comparatively this particular trade secret provision is very difficult for long period of time. Only the few companies like Coca-Cola and Pepsi can able to do so. Like as we all know, the Coca-Cola formulation is available in the market since more than 100 years, and even today no cola manufacturers company can able to make exact replica of Coca-Cola. The main reason behind is that the formula using which the Coca-Cola is prepared is kept protected by the means of trade secrets. And let's see how the Coca-Cola company keeping these secrets as a trade secret. So this particular formula of Coca-Cola, which is nothing but on a piece of paper, when the recipe of different chemical ingredient A, B, C, D, etc. are mentioned. So this particular piece of paper is kept in the Bank of Atlanta at US. Out of 50,000 employees of Coca-Cola, only 2 employees are knowing the password to operate this particular locker. Further, when these 2 gentlemen would like to open this particular bank locker at Bank of Atlanta, they cannot able to fly in the same aeroplane. They have to reach to the Atlanta by different flight. Once first gentleman operate his particular master key, then he has to come out from the bank, he has to take a return flight, then the next gentleman come with different flight, he has to operate his master key, and then only this bank locker will open. Even these 2 individuals who have their master keys to operate this bank locker, even these 2 people are not knowing who each other are there. Suppose out of these 2, I am one of the member, I am not knowing who is my subordinate. I have to operate my key, I have to come out, I have to take a return flight, and then my next colleague will come. But even though I am not knowing who is my next colleague. So by this way, Coca-Cola is maintaining this particular formula under the head of trade secrets. So let's imagine how much money, how much secrecy they have to follow. Otherwise, Coca-Cola, whose business is more than 60 billion US dollar per year, let's imagine if this particular formula get leaked by anyhow, what will be the situation next year? Maybe the business may crash down up to 6 billion US dollar, because only this is the formula which is making so much business for Coca-Cola. Once this formula come out in the public domain, the business of Coca-Cola totally get crushed out, right? So only few companies like Coca-Cola and Pepsi can able to protect their rights by the head of trade secrets. Otherwise, for scientific innovators like you and me, the best option we have to go for patents. So this is again a summary slide. We started our discussion with these slides only. Different forms of IPR like copyrights, trademarks, industrial designs, geographical indication, patents and trade secrets. So I am very sure after understandings of each IPR in detail, now you are very clear what should be protected by different forms of IPR. Now let's see what changes happen in the government policies because of IPR amendments happened, that is in 2005. So this gentleman, who is basically from Gujarat, Mr. Honorable Sham Pitroda, currently he is the chairman of National Knowledge Commission as well as advisor to the Honorable Prime Minister of our Government of India. What he said in his particular policies for next 10 years from 2010 to 2020, he said educational efforts on IPR must go beyond the IP offices and reach out to scientists and engineers working in national research institutes, universities, industry, the bar, that means court, as well as to researchers and students not just in the metropolitan areas but also in the smaller towns and rural areas of the country. That means the concept, the informations of IPR should not limited, confined to the metros, but it has to go up to the rural level because many inventions happen in the rural side at grassroots side. If we can able to protect, then enormous amount of revenues can be generated from the grassroots innovations. So that was his particular vision, and he has made the particular roadmap for India to develop a strong IPR for this next 10 years, 2010 to 2020. And accordingly, a strategy of National Innovation Council has been framed. The web link is given, innovationcouncil.gov.in. Whenever you found, just go through this particular website, you found what are the clear-cut visions, which are the roadmaps given by this council. And our GTU Innovation Council is currently working on the same roadmap to fulfill the vision of our ex-president Dr. APJ Abdul Kalam to make India a superpower in the year 2020. Further, because of IPR enactment and change in the act, there are different changes happened in the state level also. Say Gujarat government announces 50%, that is up to 10 lakhs against the expenses incurred by any organization, institute, individual or industrial unit for obtaining patent registration since 2005. So new patent act was amended in 2005. In the same year, our Gujarat government is the first in the country which announced 50% reimbursement of the total expenditure that you are going to encounter during the patent process. So that cost include patent filing fee to the patent office plus any registered patent agent fee or a lawyer fee. Whatever the charges happen, up to the maximum of 10 lakh will be reimbursed by the Gujarat government. So initially you have to pay from your pocket, then you have to approach to the Gujarat government department, that is a Gujcost, and then Gujcost will give you 50% reimbursement. This policy is very unique. Nowhere in the country such policies are framed by any state government. Gujarat is pioneer in this particular field. So we have to take advantage of this policy. Further, the public funded R&D bill was passed in 2007 by the Government of India. Kerala government introduced a state level policy on IPR in January 2008, and in August 2010 Kerala government has incorporated IPR as a compulsory subject in university level in all the disciplines of science stream, even it is engineering, pharmacy, BSc, any disciplines. IPR is a compulsory subject in the Kerala state. So Kerala little bit go behind, initially was behind than Gujarat in announcement of the policies, but now it looks that Kerala is far ahead than Gujarat in terms of the execution of the IPR policy. And further, recently in the 2012, Kerala government has announced to introduce IPR as a compulsory subject at school level also. That means at the school level also nowadays students has to do some science projects, and science fair has been organized each year by state government, by the different organizations also. So if from the school age only students has that kind of introspection about the IPR, many inventions can be protected by way of patent. So by that way students will get benefit, that school will get benefit, ultimately the system will get benefit, and by and large whole country will get benefit. So that is what their now agenda of Kerala state government. So I think now there is a right time for Gujarat government. We have already started in 2005, but the implementation of the IPR at university levels and at school level is yet to be done. But in particularly in GTU, we have started reformation of our policy. We have started implementation of IPR in many ways. So let's see what we have done so far. So GTU has already incorporated subject of IPR at master level program in pharmacy discipline, as well as we are planning and in different technical branches also. GTU National Council has linked nearly 50,000 students of diploma and degree engineering to pursue their industry defined projects. GTU IPR cell is working hard to create awareness of IPR and patent and train nearly 1,000 faculty members by March 2012, and as of today 2,500 faculty members by the March 2013. So in the current semester, UG and PG students as well as the faculties have been trained in the subjects of IPR as well as patent search. So GTU has Vision 2013. GTU has fixed up a goal to file at least 1,000 patents from the domains of engineering and pharmacy by the end of this academic year, that is June 2013. So let's contribute to fulfill our vision to make GTU a world-class research-oriented universities. So this is the vision which was seen by our Honorable Vice Chancellor Dr. Akshay K. Agrawal sir. So in the GTU we are working very hard, and just for your information, we have put a target of 100 patents for this June 2013. Already we have filed 163 patents as of today. The faculties and students of GTU has come up with so much enormous kind of the support that within a span of 18 months we can able to file 163 patents. So this 100 patents target is already achieved, but now we would like to dream further, we would like to expand our horizons, and for that we try to convey all you students and faculty members to just before selection of your project, just see whether your invention possesses all the required criteria, that is novelty, non-obviousness and utility. If your project possesses all these three criteria, definitely you can go for a patent, and once you go for a patent, no doubt it will take 3 to 4 years to up to the grant of the patent. But once the patent get granted to you, you can able to license it out, you can able to sell it out, you can start your own manufacturing using your patented inventions or the patented technology. So by this way you can give a right contribution to the industry, and by that way you can increase your own employability, you can increase your own credibility, You can increase the credibility of your own institute, your own university, that is GTU, and by and large, we can increase the credibility of our Indian education system. So this is what we have expectation from all of you. So by these words, I would like to conclude my talk on basics of IPR. So I hope and I wish that you can take maximum leverage of the concept of IPR. Next time again we will come with the new topics of patent search, how to do it, which are the different modalities for the same, etc. things. By that time, thank you all.